Well, hello and welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger. Today's date is March 23rd, 2025. Have you ever wondered how to find Mr. Right or Miss Right? How to find that person who is right for you? How to find uh, that person who is going to go the distance with you, who's going to be with you for the remainder of your life. How to find the partner in a romantic relationship. May it be he, she, they. How to find the right person. Well, if that is something that you're struggling with, then hopefully this video will help you uh, sort of make up your mind, have an easier time making a decision. However, before we go into this episode, I want to quickly say that, like everything said on this channel, like everything said, especially during Soul Search Sunday, it's basically a blind guy talking shit. But I might have some education, I might have some experience, some success, some failure. I'm here to share what I know, what has worked, and what I have learned. And if it's entertaining for you, that's great. If it works for you, that's awesome. If you listen to what I say and you say, well, that makes sense, then great, we can be friends. But don't take what I say to be the gospel truth, at least not 100%. Like everyone else, I am flawed in many ways, and my logic may be flawed, and these are just my thoughts and opinions, as are many things that I've put on YouTube. So, this is my long winded way of saying, and if you have already found someone, if you are involved with someone, and just happen that what I say today doesn't match up, doesn't jive with your relationship, don't start doubting your relationship. Okay? Don't go to your partner and say, "Oh, whoa! I heard Johnny Tiger say that we need this, we need that in our relationship. We don't have any of that. Maybe we should break up." No, no, don't do that. Okay? If it has worked for you so far, then obviously you're doing something right. Obviously you got something for each other, and just keep working at it. It might work. Uh, and if your relationship is going through a rough time, maybe this episode will give you some closure and some understanding as to why is it you're having such a hard time. Okay, but it is not the definite answer to relationship or finding a partner, and it shouldn't be the cause for you to start doubting your relationship, right? I do not want to be the instigator of people breaking up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. Okay, just take what I say and take what's useful, what makes sense, and treat the rest like what they're supposed to be: YouTube, social media, entertainment. Right? Now, let's get on with today's episode: how to find the perfect partner for you. I'm not saying find the perfect partner, I'm saying find the perfect partner for you. Looking at gaining some wisdom from the ancient, for thousands of generations, Chinese people have used the phrase 门当户对. Okay? 门当户对. Uh, and this roughly translates to, well, match made in heaven, basically. And a lot of people today, Chinese people included, will say, "Ah, that's old world nonsense. That's old tradition. We don't live in that time anymore. The matchmaker nonsense, arranged marriage nonsense. only marrying someone from your own station. Nonsense. We should all have the freedom of pick and choose. Well, and we do. You have the freedom to pick and choose, but that also comes with the freedom of failure. A lot of failures, a lot of uh, lonely nights, a lot of breaking up, getting your heart broken, and stuff like that. Right now, I'm not saying that in the old days these things didn't happen. But if you even look at statistically speaking, if you look at statistics, these things didn't happen as nearly as much in the old days. And part of the reason is that 门当户对 attitude. So what is 门当户对? Well, if you ask a lot of Chinese people who's not really studied up on it, they will tell you, well, that just means you marry someone, you date someone that comes from the same station as you are. So if you have $10,000 in your account, you need to date someone who has $10,000 in your account. Not exactly. If you explain 门当户对 in that way, then it's a very shallow way of looking at a long-standing tradition of Chinese people. Now, when we think about a lot of old traditions are bad, and a lot of them are no longer applicable to today's society. But 门当户对 definitely has its reason. It was something that Chinese people went by for 3, 4,000 years for a very good reason. And today we'll start the episode by looking at that reason. What is 门当户对 exactly? And why is it so important? Specifically speaking, 门当 is one thing and 户对 is a second, is a different thing. Okay, and these are two objects, two things that the matchmakers in the old days would look at before they even knock on your door to try to matchmake, to try to find you a bride or find you a husband. Okay, so 门当, if you go to a lot of old Chinese residents, if you look at old Chinese buildings, you will see decoration in front of the door. Usually, you will either see a pair of stone lions or those fool dogs, uh, or you will see two piles of stones or a stone pillar, like a pair of stone pillars. Okay, those things, those decorations in front of the door, they are called 门当, right? And what they are exactly, supposed to, like you can't just go and put a pair of stone lion, if you want a stone lion, like nowadays of course you can, but in the old days there's a system for that. If you're from a martial family, okay, if your family is like some kind of warrior, or if your family comes from a martial art family, then you will have the food dogs or lions in front of your door. If your military family, then you'll have food dogs or lions in front of your door. If your family a teacher or scholar or something non-violent, non-martial, then the 门当 in front of your door would be the two piles of rock or two stone pillars, uh, like that. Okay, so before a matchmaker even knock on your door, they will look at what you got in front of your door. Like, are you a martial family? Are you a scholar family? Or maybe you don't have mendang at all. That kind of tells them that you're peasant family. You might be lower societal class of people, and if you don't have even have those, okay. So the whatever 门当 is in front of your door denotes that which society caste you came from, the warrior caste, the scholar class. Um, even if you were your family is really poor, if you are from the scholar uh, bloodline, or if your father was a soldier, then you will still have uh, the right mandang in front of your door. So no, they don't necessarily denote wealth, but they do tell the matchmaker exactly what kind of family you come from. It is a warrior caste or a scholar caste, or a merchant or peasant, farmer, stuff like that. Now let's talk about 户对. 户对, if you look at old Chinese houses, buildings, above the door, there's these round uh, pieces of wood that stick out at the top of the door frame. Now those things are there because if you want someone to, like, let's say you come home late at night and you want to be able to identify your house. In the old days, there's no a house number. Uh, you can get someone to hang a lantern on it. During New Year's, you can hang decoration. So the 户对 is round pieces of wood, round knobs of wood on top of the door frame that for you to hang decorations on. Uh, and they always come in pairs. That you never see an odd number of them. Okay, and depending on your family's influence and rank, uh, the higher the rank, the more pairs there would be. So for an emperor or a lord or a high society royalty, they would usually have 8 or 9 pairs of 户对 above the door. And if you have like if you're like a minister or magistrate, then you might have 6 or 7 pairs of 户对 above the door. And the lower the rank, the less the 户对. The most common people would only have 1 pair, right? And so if a matchmaker comes to your house, before they even knock on the door, they look at the 户对 above the door frame. Oh, okay, this one is 3 pairs, 4 pairs. So that means they have some low-ranking government job. They work in the government. They are uh, government worker. Let's look at the Mendang. Oh, Stone Lion. Okay, so 4 pairs of 户对 and a Stone Lion. That kind of tells me you're like a maybe low ranking officer in the Royal Army. Maybe you are a law enforcement officer for the government, something like that. Okay, so before they even talk to you, the matchmaker would be able to tell if this household going to match with the household I'm trying to matchmake. Let's say I'm trying to matchmake your household with a neighbor's household, but your household got stone lion, their household got stone pillars. That means they are scholar and you are marshal, and then they have like 7 pairs of 户对 above the door, and you only have two. Well, I wouldn't even attempt that. Like if I was a matchmaker, I wouldn't even waste your time and waste my time. I would just go somewhere else because it's not going to work. So after all that, 门当户对, the idea of 门当户对 is not as simple as you have $10,000. I need to have $10,000. Yeah, you are a lawyer. I need to be a lawyer too. No, 门当户对 is like your family background, my family background need to kind of somewhat match up. Your educational background and my educational background need to kind of match up. Your upbringing and my upbringing need to kind of match up. And this is so important. Um, Let me tell you guys from my own experience. In my younger days, um, I went out of my way to date white people, black people, brown people. I just refuse to date uh Asian people, like Chinese people or anything Chinese related. Uh, and I I I went out of my way to date sighted people. I wouldn't date blind people. Why? Because I wanted to buck the trend. I wanted to rebel. I wanted to fight against this idea that if you're blind, you should date a blind person. If you're Chinese, you should date a Chinese person. But after so many dates, after so many twists and one night stands and little affairs here and there, I will tell you that there is a big wisdom, very big wisdom in when people say, if you are blind, you need to date the blind. If you are Chinese, you need to date not exactly Chinese, but someone who knows your culture, who's from that similar culture, right? Uh, because if you don't, yes, things might work, but there's going to be a lot of glitches. There's going to be a lot of things that you don't understand. For example, my previous relationship, I dated a white woman, 14 years older than myself. Uh, yeah, she was blind, but her experience of being blind was very different from my experience of being blind. I live independently. I have to do everything myself. She lived in a house that her parents bought for her. She had a lot of money in the bank account. So we came from very, very, very different backgrounds. We managed to make that last 18 years. That relationship lasted 18 years, but in the end, it fell apart. It wasn't like I can't even tell you that it was 18 years of success. It was maybe 10 or 9 years of pretty decent, smooth sailing, but there's definitely a lot of glitches. So you can say half of the 18 years was pretty decent, and the other half was constant struggle, constant misunderstanding, constant uh, adjustment, and stuff like that because there's just so much about my culture that she and her family wouldn't understand, didn't even want to understand. And there's a lot of compromises that needed to be made for things to work. And there's just not enough uh, benefit, not enough gain, not enough love to make that work, right? Uh, some people say, well, so you're saying that we should just take the easy way out, right? And we just, love shouldn't love be uh, something that you are willing to work at? Shouldn't love be romantic and overcome any kind of difficulties, any kind of differences? Look, life is very difficult as it is. To live in this world, to work, to survive, to make money, to feed yourself, to find a family doctor. There's a lot of things you can struggle about. Love shouldn't be something that you need to struggle that hard about. And if you want great love, a great love that is worthy of stories. Look at Romeo and Juliet. Look at most of the love stories you know. In Mandarin, there's a 梁山伯与祝英台 the butterfly lovers, dream of the butterfly lovers. You can look at any of those examples. None of them ended well. They either didn't work in the end, or everyone died. So can it work? Yes, it might. It might work, but if you want to buck the trend, if you want to go against what makes sense, most likely you're going to work really, 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 really hard, and in the end, you stay together and you're not happy, or you just can't stay together in the end, and you end up wasting 10, 20 years trying to make it work, right? A circle can fit inside a larger circle, right? A circle might even fit inside a larger square, but a same size square is not going to fit into a same size circle, no matter how much you try to cram it. The only way is for you to start carving away at that square to make it into a circle, right? Then the square will not be a square anymore, which means one of you will lose what makes you, well, you. So the whole idea of 门当户对 is not that you look at bank account. It's not that you look at both of you come from the same exactly the same job, but you need to have a lot of common ground in your upbringing, your value, in your history, in your family. Okay, and this is, to use my own example again. This is why Kitten and I have worked really well so far, because we are both uh, from the Chinese bloodline. Her being from Guam, she's a Chamorro. Her ancestry has a lot of Chinese in it, and so her people's value and my people's value are very, very similar. We often laugh and about how even though our people speak different languages, we look different, but the cultures and expectations and stuff like that are so similar. We understand uh, loyalty to our family. We understand honor. We understand. I'm not saying that white people don't understand honor, okay? And don't get me wrong, but like a lot of time, uh, my white friends or the white women I've dated in the past, they don't understand. Why are you so nice? Why do you let your father say mean things to you and you still call him to talk to him? Why do you do that? And I'm like, how do I explain that to you? In my culture, no matter how mean your parents are to you, they are still your parents. There are duties and obligations that we observe as children, and that's what I hold on to. That is my honor, right? A lot of a lot of them don't understand that, but with Kitten, I don't need to explain any of that. Kitten understand perfectly. Another thing that sort of worked with us is the 门当户对, is that a lot of her family member play music. That she has a whole lot of musicians in her family, which means when I talk to her family members, we have common languages because I spent a long time in my younger days being a musician. I'm still a musician. I just don't really release albums much anymore. I don't tour anymore, but I understand the lifestyle. We can play music together. A lot of her family members are military personnel, military people, and even there, even though I have never been in the military, we can speak the same language because I have trained a lot of police officers. I have trained a lot of reserved military personnel in self-defense and martial arts. So we speak the same language. So, we can take this relationship and let's assume things went differently. Let's assume that uh, Kitten's family is into stock car racing. Then, boy, when we get together, there would be nothing for us to talk about, right? They wouldn't understand me. I wouldn't understand them. They want to talk about cars. They want to talk about driving fast. They want to talk about driving techniques. And I would be sitting there like a doorknob. I wouldn't understand any of that, right? And let's say that if Kitten is from a culture that has nothing to do with Chinese culture, then we would have the same issue I did in my previous relationship. Everything had to be explained, everything had to be justified, everything had to be verbalized, and it was very tiring. So, 门当户对 is not ancient old world nonsense. It's very, very important today still. If you want a successful relationship, if you want smooth sailing, if you want to cut down on the glitches that will come with every relationship with any kind of human being, then starting off on somewhat equal footing is very important. So we can put 门当户对 as our number one uh, tip for finding the right partner is similar background. Okay, now we go to number two. In addition to needing similar background, you need similar physicality. I'm not talking about just good looking guy with good looking girls or ugly guys with ugly girls, fat guy with fat girls. I'm not talking about something that shallow, right? I'm talking about physically speaking, in your activity, in your desire, in your makeup, in your demeanor, you need to somewhat match. Otherwise, well, to be quite frank, otherwise you probably wouldn't even get that first date, right? You need to somewhat match in the physicality realm to be able to even consider each other prospective partners. Otherwise, you might just be one night stand or friend with benefit. Right? So, for example, uh, can an ugly looking guy have a beautiful girlfriend? Sure, sure. It happens all the time. Just look at Donald Trump. Uh, anyway, sorry. Um, but that ugly looking guy and that beautiful woman need to more or less want the same stuff, right? Uh, you want money? I got money. I want money too. Okay? You like fine dining? I like fine dining. That's great. You like to wear beautiful clothes? Well, I like to wear beautiful clothes too. That's fine. You want fast cars? That's good. I like fast cars too. Uh, a lot of time when you just say, okay, I want to be with this person, and then you don't know if you are a match in the physicality sense, it what's going to happen is, okay, let's say the two of you are both good looking, but you are like Johnny Tiger. You need to work out, you need to run, you need to fight. And then your partner is a pacifist. And everything you do is too violent for her. Everything you do is too obnoxious and loud, and you move too much. You are not going to make this. This is not going to work. Okay, this is not. Even if you manage to stay together because you have children, and you're staying together for the sake of children, you're not going to be happy, right? My previous relationship was a prime example of this. Right? I never got her to work out with me. I never got her to take a single self-defense martial arts session. She was with me for 18 years. She still never learned any self-defense because she liked to sit there and read books all day long. Now, I read books too, but I don't sit and read. When I'm reading a book, I'm usually like running on the treadmill, or I'm cooking dinner, or I'm tinkering with something, or I'm making a piece of artwork. I cannot sit still and read a book. That's like torture to me. Right? But not her. She could not be bothered to move. So that created a lot of problems in our relationship. We never worked out together. We never trained together. Uh, Physically, I was a lot more active than she was, and as a result, she felt insecure and inferior, and that led to a lot of uh, bad feeling, that resentment on both sides. Fast forward, look at my current relationship with Kitten. Uh, we don't look the same. We don't, but we look like we are from the same culture, right? Um, we are both heavy set, strong, upper body, active people. Uh, or if you want to be blunt, we're both chunky people. We both like to work out. We both like to lift weight. She loves training in self defense. I love training in self-defense. She loves playing with knives. I love playing with knives. When move, we move like a team. We don't need to stop and wonder what we're going to do with the other person while we go and do what we need to do. Right? Um, so we strive for the same thing physically, and that gives us a lot of common ground to work with. And this is something that is very important. Like if you, it's okay if you are fat, ugly. I hope you're not, but I'm sure you're not. But it's okay to be fat and ugly, but most likely, unless you really want to change, you are going to have to be okay with a partner that is your equal. Maybe fat and ugly, maybe skinny, ugly, maybe whatever. But if you want to stay happy being the ugly duckling, your only choice, your only sensible choice is another ugly duckling. Now, if you are an ugly duckling that is working hard to become that swan, then congratulations, because that means you have a really big probability of dating a swan, right? Because people like partners that are trying. People like partners that put forth effort. So if you put effort forth, then you will find good partner. If you don't want to put any effort forth, then sorry, then your choice would be very limited. So uh, in addition to having similar background, having similar outlook and similar physicality, physical reality is very important in picking the right mate for yourself. Number three, you need to agree on the same principles. This one is important, but it's also important to understand that it is okay if you start out not 100% on the same page, right? It's okay to have different principles starting out, but you need to be realistic. Are you willing to change? And are you going to be able to change and agree on the principles without losing yourself, without sacrificing yourself? Because if you sacrifice yourself, you will start to get resentful. The more years go by, the more you have to let go of what makes you you, the more resentful you will be. So in the end, yes, maybe you will agree on the same principles, but now you hate each other so much that there's no point anymore. For example, um, Kitten and I are very different in our pastimes in some ways. I like games and she hates games, but we both agree that that's okay because I don't like to play games with people. When I play games, I'm the like just turn on the game and shoot a bunch of zombies and then I'm happy. I don't need to play games with people. I'm like, give me a game and I'll play it on my own and go through the story and accomplish this, finish the story mode and stuff like that. Like I don't need to play with people. So we agree to disagree in this case, right? I don't need to give up my games for her. And she doesn't need to learn and force herself to play games to make me happy. This is what I'm talking about. Agree on the same principles or agree that there's going to be difference and be okay with it. I can't even start to tell you guys how often I hear people, especially guys, say, I have to give out comic books because I got married and my wife didn't like them. I have to give up video games because my wife didn't like them. I have to sell my action figure collection because my girlfriend says so. Hell, I even heard of a guy who gave up his cat because his girlfriend said it's either her or the cat. You know what? If anyone. Okay, it can be even my dad, right? Doesn't have to be a girlfriend. Anyone say to me, it's me or the cat, and I will say, oh, sorry, dude, the door is that way. I guess you'll have to go. I will not give out my cat for anybody. I will not sell my action figure for anybody. Now, if it's something like, okay, someone is sick and I need the money to help them, then I totally will. I will sell my action figure collection, right? But I will not stop collecting action figures just because someone says so. Because to give these things up, I would lose a piece of myself that makes me happy. And to lose that piece of myself that makes me happy will make me very unhappy down the road. And I will come to resent the person. Right? So when you start a relationship, you need to keep working on these personal preferences, principles, what make you happy, what make her happy, what make him happy, and either you are okay with it, either they are okay with it, or you agree with each other, you agree on it, or there's no point. Don't try to say, oh well, maybe I'll just change, or maybe they will change if I nag them long enough, because all that's going to do is make you hate each other in the end. Kitten doesn't collect action figures, but she is totally fine with my action figure collection. She even encouraged me to put aside some money to get some action figures. She doesn't say, "Oh, well, you have too many figures. What are you going to do? When are you ever going to stop?" She doesn't say things like that, right? Um, when you have shared principles, when you agree on the same principles, the relationship go buttery smooth, right? So when Kitten say, uh, "We are going to go out for dinner," I said, I will say, "Oh, okay. Well, tell me when, and where are we going? How do you like? What are we wearing, and stuff like that." It's not going to be like she want to go out for dinner and I say, oh God, we already go out for dinner 5 times this week. Maybe we should just eat at home and stuff. Like no, uh, when you agree on the same principle, you will live the same kind of lifestyle and things. There's a lot of things that don't need to be argued. There's a lot of things that don't need to be said. You will move with each other like good dance partners. And honestly, in the beginning, a lot of these won't happen. Uh, Agreeing on the same principles is something that you need to work at throughout your relationship. As years go by, if you go about it smartly and correctly, you will find that each other start to fit into each other's lifestyle and principles and belief systems, and you will send off a lot of the rough angles and learn to compromise in a way that is not going to damage you or damage your partner. Last but not least, and this one is often overlooked, last but not least, you need to compensate each other's shortcomings. You need to make up for each other's faults. So you being together need to uh, fill in the gap that each other have. Okay, people often talk about you need the same kind of person to be happy. Not true. I know this sounds like I'm contradicting what I just said about having similar background, similar this, similar that, but you can't be happy if you're both exactly the same. If you both have the same problem, let's say, let's say you both are introverts. Well, crap. Now you'll never go anywhere. If you are both extroverts and don't like to stay home, then no one's ever going to do housework. Nothing get done at home. If you both like to spend money then you are always going to be broke, right? So the perfect person for you is that person who can agree on your principles, who you can agree on their principles, but you also have strengths and weaknesses that make up for each other's shortcomings. You compensate each other's faults, right? And again, I'm going to use my previous relationship and my current relationship to give you guys a contrast. My previous relationship, we actually had a lot of things in common. We both like to play games. Uh, we both like to read books. Okay, we both like to drink. So some people say, "Well, that's perfect. Then you do everything together." Not so much, because she liked to read her book. I like to read my book. I like action and horror. She liked romance and chick books. So we end up spending a lot of time. She reading her book, I reading my book, and we're not talking. We're not communicating. She like to play her game. I like to play my game. I like games that have a lot of violence and storylines and complexities and stuff. And she liked simple games. Uh, like uh, you know, if you hear the sound on the left, you shoot to the left. You hear sound on the right, you shoot to the right. Uh, you walk around collecting treasures and rack up scores. She likes that kind of stuff. So we didn't play games together. So a lot of times, her playing her game, I playing my game. We spend a lot of time not talking, not communicating. Yes, we both like to drink, but I like to drink and talk to friends, and I'm very mellow when I drink. She, on the other hand, was a sad drunk. When she got drunk, she cried, got moody, and so we did not. Even though we went to the same party, we didn't have the same experience. Every time it's like me feeling really mellow, and that I have to go comfort her. I had no idea what the hell she was crying about. And she had no idea what the hell she was crying about, and just ruined the night for both of us. So even though we shared all these common interests, we did not work together. We couldn't work together, right? Now, fast forward, right, to Kitten and my relationship. Okay, um, Kitten doesn't really cook. She can, but she doesn't really cook. She doesn't do it that much. Uh, but she loves cleaning up. She loves washing dishes. I can cook. I do a lot of cooking, but I hate washing dishes. Right there, perfect example, right? Work together. Now I do the cooking, you wash dishes. Perfect, right? Um, Kitten like to vacuum, uh, but she doesn't really move as quickly as I do when vacuuming. So that's okay. When we have a day off, when there's nothing happening, then I let her have the vacuum cleaner, and then you can vacuum to your heart's content. Take all the time you want. But on days where things need to get done in a hurry, then I take over. I take the vacuum cleaner and give it a quick job. And because she doesn't like to play games, so while she's vacuuming, I get to play my game. And then while I'm vacuuming, she get to take a break and do what she wants to do. When we run the Night Strike self-defense for the blind, I do the teaching. I'm good at that. I'm good at planning courses. I'm good at running the class. I'm good at bringing people together. But you know what I'm not good at? I'm not good at uh, the caregiving part. I'm not good at making sure everybody have water. To me, that's your own responsibility. If you come to a self-defense class, better bring your own damn water. Uh, I'm not good at making sure that people have Gatorade and and different things to pick from, different things to snack on. Kitten is extremely good at taking care of the group. She's like the group mom. She makes sure that there's water, there's Gatorade, there's juice, there's tea and coffee, there's a snack. So the two of us move like a well-oiled machine. She look out for where I am lacking, and I look out for where she is lacking. Um, I need someone. I need someone in my life that adores me. Okay, I know that just makes me sound like a egocentric maniac, but I am very self-aware. Uh, I do a lot of things. I put out a lot of YouTube content. I make videos. I'm am in some movies. I make documentaries. I do a lot of things in my life. And one of the things I really need is approval from people close to me because when I was growing up, I never got that. Now, in my family, there's no approval, there's no pat on the back. Everything you do, even when you get straight A in class, it's like you're supposed to do that in the first place. I brought you to Canada, so you better damn well get straight A, and so on and so on. So I find that I really need someone who pat me on the back once in a while and tell me I'm awesome, and do that uh, really good. And that is something that Kitten is really good at. She's my number one fangirl. So she perfectly fills that need in my personality. On the other hand, Kitten can be a bit skittish or emotional or moody uh, or uh, uh, tend to be uh, influenced easily by her surrounding and people around her. So she likes to have someone who is very stoic, who is centered, who is there to be able to be like her rock. And I am extremely good for that because I'm a very stoic person. So even in our personality, we can uh, fulfill what each other need. We compensate for each other's shortcomings. Now, this is not good if, like, let's say if you are a go-getter and then your partner is also a go-getter, that can be problematic because then you're constantly racing each other. You're constantly competing. I make 10 million and she's going to make 15 million. And now I feel I need to make 20 million. Well, if I can't make 20 million, well, then I'm going to do something she can't. I'm going to buy a boat. She's going to buy an airplane. I'm going to buy a space station. You get my point. It's just because you have the same personality, it doesn't always work very good, right? Let's say if I am a slacker and she's a slacker, and then I say, well, no, then I don't want to work anymore. Working is too hard. And she said, well, if you don't want to work, then I'm not going to work either. Well, then we're going to both stay home and collect social benefit. Not a very good outlook, is it? So to sum up our four essential elements in picking the right person for yourself. Number one is you have to have similar background, okay? Similar history, similar family, similar upbringing, similar cultural background as well. Number two, similar physicality. You need to enjoy doing the same thing. You know, you need to enjoy uh, uh, being dressed more or less the same way. You need to have similar physical uh, demands, requirements, expectations. Otherwise, you are not even going to want to be with each other. Right? So you need to be more or less similar in your physicality, physical reality, and stuff like that. Number three, you need to agree on principles, right? You need to compromise. You need to agree. You need to share the same principles, the same thing that you both want. So your relationship can be like a well-oiled machine rather than a machine that is uh, stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, and gears get locked up and chains fall off occasionally. No, that is not a good relationship to look forward to. Last but not least, you need to compensate each other's shortcoming. You need to have things in your personality. They need to have things in their personality, things in your ability, things in their ability that will make up for the shortcoming in each other. I hope that everyone will eventually find the right person for themselves. And remember, if you are already with someone, don't just take this post and start dissecting your relationship. Okay, it's just blind guy talking shit, and I hope everybody had fun and learn a little bit of something from this episode.